Hello, welcome back to the Ohio SBDC Progress Not Panic 2020 video series. I'm your host Kevin Hammond of the Ohio SBDC at Columbus State Community College. Glad to be here. Thanks for tuning in today and watching this video. The topic of this video is the top 7 ways to manage a cash flow crunch. And this is going to be a two-part series video, so this is part 1 of that video. So as a small business owner during these COVID pandemic times, you face some challenges. You face really the true test of you being able to operate and adapt in this challenging and rapidly changing situation. And I want to reiterate, I mentioned this before in previous videos, that we're grateful for all you small businesses. We believe in you small businesses. And want you to know that we're here for you. All of the SBDC in the state of Ohio, we're all working in full capacity. Of course, we're all at home working safely, but we're all here for you. So, feel free to reach out for us if you need anything. So when a cash flow crunch comes, it can be a challenging, scary thing. The worst thing, though, that you can do is when you're facing this cash flow challenge is to do nothing, to remain idle. You want to take action, be proactive early to increase your chances of your business surviving. So let's first define what is cash flow. Cash flow is simply the movement of cash into or out of the business, measured typically during a certain period amount of time. Having a month with a net loss, certainly not the same thing as having negative cash flow. You can have a net loss for a month in your business, even a few months, but if you run out of cash, that becomes a challenge. Negative cash flow means you can't pay the bills, can't pay your employees, you can't essentially operate your business. And depending upon the business's cost structure, it's not uncommon to have months that you have net losses, but again, having a deficit in cash is a different story. We've all heard cash is king, and it's true. In this two-part series, we're going to go over 7 top tips and methods for fixing cash flow problems and gaining stability in your business. Now, don't be overwhelmed with all the different options that I'm going to be giving you here. Pick 1 or 2, 3 that you can implement and work on in the beginning. Look at the other ones down the road. So let's take a closer look at how you can manage a cash flow crunch. So tip number 1, get your team ready. So this is a time when your business is facing a pretty big threat. You don't want to face that alone. You want to rally your team, rally the troops. Encourage your entire team to make it something for them to get behind. Something that you can get all of them to rally behind and help save this business. You're going to need help from your attorney, your accountant, banker, insurance person, consultants, local economic development folks. As many people as you can that can be helpful. Be honest, be realistic, but be clear. You're not going to give up. You're not going to go down without a fight, and you need them in this fight with you. Cash flow crunch tip number 2. Apply for the relief financial programs that are out there being offered through SBA and so forth. I know they've been a little bit of a challenge and they run out very quickly. There may be likely future incentive packages coming up after the ones that are currently out now, in which they may be expiring soon. But regardless, utilize any legitimate program out there to offer small business assistance during crisis challenging times. The Small Business Administration, apply with them. Look at what the state has, any local lending programs, as well as private lending sources if that's a fit. So really consider all your financial relief options. Cash flow crunch tip number 3. Communicate with your suppliers. So what you don't want to do is you're trying to preserve cash flow, so don't obviously pay before the agreed upon time. And you're essentially going to need to explain to your suppliers kind of the hardship that you have and the challenge that's making it hard for you to pay things that you owe, your payables, and essentially ask for extensions in time to pay. You can negotiate extended credit terms, So really, communication is key when you're having a cash flow crunch, and with your suppliers, you want to reach out to them. Cash flow crunch tip number 4, communicate with your accountant. So you definitely want to let your accountant know everything that's going on, seek guidance from them, be honest with them, and let your accountant help you with those cash flow problems. You want to be able to do your part to provide the up-to-date financials to your accountant. That way they can help you, they can have all the accurate information. Your accountant should ideally be positioned to prepare you for these cash flow challenges and help you, walk through them and work through them. Don't be afraid to ask for help or for second opinions. That's the big thing when you're having a cash flow crunch is you might feel like you want to isolate yourself, and as soon as you detect any cash flow crunch on the horizon, whatever it might be, like ask for help right away. Cash flow crunch tip number 5, communicate with your landlord. So if your business has a space that it's renting, if you're maybe doing co-working space, whatever it might be, if you're essentially renting a location or equipment, even that, explain to the landlord the challenge you're having, your current situation. Be clear that you have a plan to fix it. You're working on that plan. Ask for an extension and time to pay the lease, the agreement, and try to negotiate some win-win terms for down the road. Some things you can do to help them right now, even though you can't maybe pay as quickly as you can right now. So just try to figure out ways to be creative and work out that win-win agreement. Cash flow crunch tip number 6, communicate with your banker. So again, you want to communicate with as many folks that can help you as possible. The more you can ask for that assistance and look for it and get those opinions, get folks on your team ready, the better. Don't hide problems from your bank. If you have a loan already with the bank, whatever it might be, a line of credit, term loan, whatever it might be, SBA, 7A or 504, whichever it might be, keep those lines of communication open with your bank. You want to be able to provide them with your most up-to-date financials to show, explain the hardship and show, what's been going on. Ideally you have a pretty strong history of, paying, your bills on time with your bank and so forth. You can show the current financials, the challenge that it's had, and ask for temporary relief from those loans. You'll see if you can, defer some of those payments, and that's, you're not going to know if you don't ask. During this COVID time, banks are pretty receptive to let you defer. Again, just making sure you have a plan to move forward when things get normal or new normal. Cash flow tip number 7, communicate with your customers. So at this point, you may want to consider temporary discounts. Just be clear that they're temporary, and you got to be careful with doing discounts, but nothing wrong with doing those, especially if you're trying to move product and so forth. Provide an incentive for accelerated payments. So if depending upon the type of business you have, if you give your customer terms to pay, work out a way for them to pay quicker. Maybe you get, you provide them some type of an incentive. You throw something extra in product-wise that isn't going to be much of a hit for you, but helps you get the money a little bit quicker. Anything you can do to get that cash flow quicker to pay those short-term debts that you have is key. Make sure the right customers you have are happy. So I said the right customers. So, depending upon your customer mix, the kind of business you have, not every customer is always the right customer, if that makes sense. So you might have some customers that are great and some that just take up so much of your time and maybe aren't as profitable that it's like, this time may show that, okay, I need to work on my customer mix. So keep that in mind too. Also think about what else could you sell your existing customers that could help them right now as well as helping you right now. So sort of upselling. So kind of wrap up the first part of the Cash Flow Crunch series. I want to talk a little bit about you want to make sure you have positive cash flow, and figuring out how you can do that, how you can forecast that cash flow, things you can do to get that going. And having positive cash flow, it's not something that it's not just a chance thing. It's going to take monitoring. It's going to take work. It's something you do have to work at. You will need to analyze and manage your cash flow effectively to control the inflow and outflow of cash. Entrepreneurs should be thinking ahead to avoid cash flow crunches. Unfortunately, we know life happens. You can't always predict things. No, I mean, who could predict that we were in this COVID situation now, and we're all stuck at home and got to wear masks and all these things that are just so strange for us. But that happens, right? Life happens, and we'll get through it. We always do. We'll come out stronger. Businesses, our small businesses are great, and I know you'll come out stronger. But nevertheless, you might have a cash flow crunch. This, depending upon your kind of business, a lot of businesses are having this cash flow crunch, and it happens. But remember to take action. Do something. No matter how small the action is that you're going to take, it's always better to do something than nothing at all. Taking that action, reaching out for help, whatever it might be. Always feels good to make that happen. That kind of paralysis analysis that a lot of us have, all of us have at some point in time, not doing us any good. So just taking some type of small action leading to the next action in some way to get out of this and fix it. Asking for help. So managing cash flow, as we know, is the lifeblood of any small business, often making the difference between your success and your failure. So I want to thank you for joining today for part 1 of the Cash Flow Crunch series. We're going to have part 2 coming out on the next video. So I want to thank you again for joining today. Please subscribe to the channel and leave any comments especially on any future videos that you would like us to talk about. Anyone you think we should interview. We're going to have our first interview next week. I'm doing it Friday, and we're going to have it for next week, so that should be fun. So again, thank you for joining. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.